Today's story will show you just how dangerous it can be to underestimate the obsessive and persistent behavior of a former partner. The main character, Lia Miyoshi, was born in Kanagawa Prefecture and, in her younger years, went by the surname Sabata. She was energetic and cheerful, deeply into self-development, healthy living, and freelancing. Lia wrote articles, maintained a blog, and created design projects. Online, she was known by the nickname Lover of Chopsticks. She frequently attended festivals, loved fashion, and shared her discoveries with her readers, inspiring them along the way. By the mid-2000s, Lia had already moved to Tokyo. People around her knew her as someone always on the move, curious, positive, and full of life. It was during this period that she met Hideo Kazutsumi, a 32-year-old civics teacher and badminton coach at a private school. At first, he seemed like a nice and energetic man, and they quickly found common ground. No one suspected how far things would spiral, because in the beginning, Hideo appeared to share her passion for a healthy lifestyle and personal growth. But what happened next defies belief. I couldn't ignore this case, because for many people, it hits very close to home. It's important to see how these situations can develop if you don't take the right steps in time. You're watching my channel where we explore real crimes and strange phenomena. If you're interested in these kinds of topics, make sure to subscribe, and let's dive into today's story. Lia and Hideo met at a badminton club. She enjoyed the sport and apparently, so did he. They quickly became friends, started spending a lot of time together, and soon began dating. The 7-year age difference didn't seem like a big deal. Lia's friends thought their relationship was harmonious. Both were into sports, travel, and shared an overall positive outlook on life. However, problems soon began to surface. Hideo suffered from deep depression and often spoke about ending his life. Around others, he acted cheerful and wore a smile, but when alone with Lia, he would fall into despair, reject her advice, and refuse any support. Eventually, Lia grew exhausted from his constant negativity and refusal to seek help. She understood how difficult it is to help someone who actively avoids being helped. By 2006, it became clear to Lia that she no longer saw a future in this relationship. She was tired of the complaints, the self-destructive mindset, and the unwillingness to change. So, she made the decision to leave. For Hideo, this was a devastating shock. At first, he begged her to come back. When that failed, he turned to threats. After the breakup, Hideo became obsessed with either winning Lia back or punishing her. He called her constantly and flooded her inbox with emails. At first, the messages sounded like desperate pleas to get back together, but they quickly escalated into frightening statements like, "I won't let you be happy without me. I blame you for all of my pain." He even attempted suicide using alcohol and other substances. He was found barely conscious in a park and rushed to a hospital. Realizing how serious the situation had become, Lia went to the police. Hideo was officially warned, but no serious legal action was taken. Lia was advised to contact organizations that help victims of stalking. Experienced counselors told her that stalkers can go to extreme lengths and recommended changing her address and even her surname to fully separate from her past. Lia decided to start over. She met someone new and eventually got married. She took the surname Miyoshi and moved to the city of Tsuchiya resort town with beautiful beaches and cozy cafes. Her loved ones hoped that Hideo, faced with distance and a name change, would finally give up. But he didn't. Hideo eventually learned through his mother that Lia had gotten married. She likely hoped this news would snap him back to reality. Instead, it triggered another breakdown. This time, Hideo attempted to end his life in the mountains. He was once again rescued by hikers passing through. He was temporarily placed in a psychiatric facility. But the effect was short-lived. Even after his release, he couldn't stop obsessing over Lia. He was convinced she still belonged to him. Meanwhile, Lia continued freelancing. And for professional reasons, she sometimes used her former name Lia Sabataso. Past clients from Tokyo would recognize her. But this gave Hideo a new lead. He saw mentions of her old surname online, tracked down her blog posts, and resumed contact. This time, the messages were more threatening. "You can't be happy with another man, I'll kill you both." Lia went to the police again. This time, Hideo was arrested and sentenced to 1 year in prison and 3 years on probation. It should have been the end, but something went horribly wrong. At the court hearing, Lia's new surname and home address were read aloud in front of Hideo. He now had exactly the information he needed. When he was released from prison, Hideo was more determined and more hateful than ever. He was banned from contacting Lia in any way, including email, but he ignored the order. He began bombarding her with thousands of messages. At first, they demanded compensation for her betrayal. Then the threats returned. When Lia reported him a third time, police replied that there were no explicit threats of murder in his recent emails. And Japanese law at the time did not recognize email harassment as a serious form of stalking. Still, local police installed a surveillance camera outside Lia's home, increased patrols, and regularly checked in on her. Eventually, the messages stopped. Lia told the police it seemed like Hideo had finally disappeared. So, the cameras were removed. The police believed the danger had passed, but Hideo hadn't stopped. He was just hiding. He contacted private investigators, pretending to be a man searching for a woman who once helped him during his depression. One agency rejected him after noticing suspicious activity tied to his email, but another agreed to help without much verification. Due to a loophole in Japan's tax system, a person claiming to be a husband could, through a simple phone call, receive someone's home address, as long as the civil servant didn't ask for documents. Despite Lia's previous request to keep her information confidential, this system failed her. Hideo now had her exact address. The date was the 5th of November, 2012. The next day, Hideo would turn 40. He decided the gift to himself would be to finally carry out his twisted plan. On the 6th of November, Hideo arrived at Lia's new home in Zushi. He brought a box inside. It were a knife and rope. It's believed the box was meant to help him pose as a courier so Lia would open the door. But realizing she might recognize his face, he chose another route. Hideo circled the house and found an open window. He quietly entered. Lia was alone at the time. Hideo crept into the bedroom and attacked her with a knife, stabbing her multiple times. Lia died from her wounds and severe blood loss. After the murder, Hideo used the rope to hang himself from the balcony. A passerby noticed the body hanging and immediately called the police. Inside, officers found Lia's body. They quickly understood what had happened. There was already a police record of prior complaints, a restraining order, and stalking history. But now it's too late. Since Hideo was also dead, no criminal case was opened. There was no one left to charge. Lia died at 33 years old. Her husband, who had supported her through the stalking, warned police multiple times and feared this outcome was devastated. Despite all efforts, the system failed to protect her. He later filed a lawsuit against the city of Zushi, blaming officials for leaking Lia's address and failing to offer sufficient protection. He asked for 11 million yen, about $70,000. In the end, he was awarded only a tenth of that amount. However, the court did acknowledge that multiple authorities had made serious mistakes. Reading Lia's address out loud in court, failing to secure her private data, underestimating the danger posed by digital threats. Even the private investigator who gave out Lia's location was convicted and sentenced to 2.5 years in prison after it was ruled that his methods were fraudulent. Public reaction and legal reforms. Lia's murder sparked outrage in Japan. The case revealed how outdated stalking laws failed to recognize online harassment as dangerous. At the time, only physical following or threatening phone calls were taken seriously. Emails, social media message, 7,000 of them weren't considered legally actionable unless they contained an explicit death threat. That changed after Lia's case. Japanese lawmakers revised the anti-stalking laws to include persistent email and online harassment. Authorities were also given stronger tools to intervene before violence occurs. Stricter privacy regulations were introduced as well. Public servants now had to thoroughly verify identities before releasing any personal information. Lia had done everything right. She cut contact with Hideo, changed her name, and moved to a new city. reached out to police multiple times, provided evidence of threats, took every recommended safety measure, but the system failed her. In the end, her story did lead to real legislative change, meant to protect other victims before it's too late.